Hochio. Let me tell you something. There was this man, okay, he was, putting up a wall, separating his property from his neighbor's property, putting up rocks, piling them up. And anyway, because the problem was, there was some of the livestock, mainly the pigs, kept getting over into the man's property, and he was sick and tired of it, so he was going to put up a brick or rock wall. So he got most of it up except for this one spot, because it kept, being like knocked over in that one spot. So he was kind of a little, gave up on it for a little bit, and then he turned around and he goes back and he tries it again. But, he'd go to try it again, and he'd get, about halfway, and then next thing you know, bam, it's down again, So he just couldn't figure out, so he decided to go to his neighbor, see if he was knocking it down, The man said he wasn't knocking it down, so they put some cameras up, to see who was doing it, and thing was, the man's, dog kept digging, and it was like the dog was in, had this thing with the pigs or something, to help him out, because when the dog would dig, the other thing would collapse, But that makes me think, in the churches, amongst, each individual in a local church or the whole church, or they make up the body of the church. But you think about it, that people put up walls, and they have, this little barrier. Now, some walls are good, mind you, depending on what you're trying to keep out. Now, if you're trying to keep out that which is evil, or that's not pleasing to God, when you put up a wall to keep that out, but you have a gate to only allow that which is good in, well, that's of course a good thing. But, unfortunately, some people don't, they don't make a good wall. They just hardly do it, and then sometimes they come across problems in their life, and things tend to seep through. Let's say, just for example, maybe you're trying to live for the Lord, and you're trying to, keep those bad influences out. And let's say maybe some of those bad influences might be from friends that you have hung around with. Now, these were friends that you hung around before you decided to give your heart and life to Jesus. Now, of course, you're not supposed to mistreat anybody. You're not supposed to be cold-hearted, but at the same time, you do or are required to make a decision. Now, they may be your friends, and they maybe have some bad choices in their life. But see, the problem is, if you give the devil just a foot, or the pigs, or the swine, the dogs, whatever, if you give them just a little leeway, somehow they can still find a way to get through. And eventually, as I said, bad manners, bad morals corrupts. Okay? That's like you put one rotten apple in a barrel of good apples, and it spoils the whole bunch. And Paul kind of reflects on this in the book of Romans, and also in Corinthians and Galatians. But the thing is, you have to know where you stand. The point is, when you have friends who have bad influences, bad lifestyles, say they're drinking, they love cussing and partying, and they're trying to get you to do these things. Well, you're no longer interested in doing those things. You're only concerned in doing things for Jesus. They, want you not to be such a stick in the mud and give all kinds of appropriate excuses that would tempt your flesh, and you give in. And then so you have an excuse, the reason why you don't do that. Oh, that is because you're just human. See, being just human will send us all on the pathway of hell. Now, that doesn't mean we're perfect as in without flaws. We have flaws, but we're supposed to be perfect the way Jesus said, meaning, he said to be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. You're supposed to be blameless in following Jesus' commands, blameless in your life, living for Him without hypocrisy, without the fighting and bickering, and I can go on and on, but I think you get the general point. So the kind of walls that we put up are good, and then sometimes they can be bad, pending. But I think maybe you're understanding what's going on. So, my friends, what are you doing? What kind of wall do you have? Is it like what that man who is trying to put up the wall and stuff, do you have those kind of problems, Think about how it will relate to you and in your life for God. Now, you cannot, please understand, I cannot be truly, claim to be an honest and true Christian if I willfully, habitually, deliberately keep on doing those very things that God has forbidden. Now, I'm not talking about unwillful sins. Things that hadn't been thought out, and on and on and on. But, because we all sin. And if any man says he does not sin, he is a liar. My point is that we do trip up, but we need to be blameless in our walk with the Lord. And, we're not to hang with those friends, even if it means that you have to cut them off. Because Jesus said, if your eye offends you, he's talking about, not literally to do it, but he says to pluck it out. It's better that you go to heaven with one eye than to go into hell with both eyes. And the same for your hand or your foot, cut off, So the thing is, you're talking about the extreme of what you must do. Those things, whether it's people or a thing that's causing you to stumble in your walk for God, you need to cut it off and get rid of it. Your friends, it's not that they're not you're no longer any of your friends per se, is that maybe they're still in your heart. They are, as far as people that you've known and things, but you don't hang with them. Like do the boogie and go drink and booze it up and doing all the things that God hates. That hurts God. That hurts the Lord. He has a heart, and He hurts when His children do that. If you are truly a child of God and you're caught up in that and you don't know what to do, let me encourage you to remember what Jesus said. Cut it off. And let me encourage you to get a better wall set up to keep that, whatever it may be, creeping inside to your life. Because, we're supposed to be sanctified, consecrated, separated, holy. Not holier than thou, but holy. God said, be holy for I am holy. So if you think that you're not to be holy or no man can be holy, that is the wrong thinking. It's just whatever your concept of holy, like in holier now, that's wrong. We're supposed to be holy in our living for Him. It means we're separated, not like all the others. It means you're a unique people. God's people is unique, different, not like the world. So I want to encourage you to think about the walls. What do you need to do about that wall? Okay? So this is just trying to encourage you to think and get busy with something, and, hey, let me encourage you, to talk to your pastor, to your brothers and sisters that you in Christ that you know very well, and talk to them about it. Pray, get a prayer meeting going with you, and get over it. That's what I want to encourage you with. So God bless you. Shalom and ha-ho.